Now, knowing full well that the state had perjured itself and destroyed evidence, the court did nothing to punish the state for those actions. Ultimately, the case brought forth by Patrick McCollum was dismissed without prejudice. What this means is that he did not have what he needed to bring the case at that time, but that he could bring it at a later date. The reasoning for this was that they suggested that an inmate must bring their own case, and that the inmates that were involved in the case he was in lacked the evidence to bring their standing because of the state had destroyed their evidence. Further, he would have to wait until a prisoner had won their case, showing that they do have rights as prisoners, as pagans within, the prison system, that they have rights as pagans to practice their religion. So once a prisoner wins their lawsuit, proving that pagans deserve basically religious rights, after that, then Patrick McCollum can bring his case, which was an employment case because they refused to let him fill out an application. So first, the prisoner needs to prove that they deserve religious rights and deserve a chaplain, and then the next case can come forward. Now, there are a few sources that have pointed out a hidden player in this court case. One of them is the magazine Witches and Pagans. I picked up an issue at my local pagan shop for around $7. And it is a really good read, that one, because it's got some letters in there by pagan prisoners. I suggest you pick that up. Also, the website for Americans United for the Separation of Church and State, they have an article that reveals the involvement of a group called the Wall Builders. You may not have heard of the Wall Builders before. They are a Christian dominionist group, which means they are theocrats. They believe that this country is a Christian nation that should be run by Christians and for Christians. According to Americans United for the Separation of Church and State, the Wall Builders do not believe that pagans have rights under the First Amendment, that the only religions that have rights under the First Amendment are monotheistic religions. Now, during the court case, the Wall Builders were seen as a friend of the court on behalf of the state of California, and did argue in front of the court that witchcraft is not a religion and shouldn't be given equal rights to other religions. Many people who are not in prison and don't plan to be may wonder how this applies to them, what this means to people who are not in prison, especially those pagans that are not in prison. I should also tell you that pagans are not the only ones that are being discriminated and denied a chaplain in these cases, but also Buddhists and Hindus and other religious faiths are being excluded from having a chaplain in the state of California. Because this is a federal court case, it is somebody suing an entire state, so it cannot be a state case. It has to be a federal court case. When a federal court makes a ruling, that ruling applies all across the board. So if they rule that pagans do not have the same rights as other religions and do not deserve the same rights as other religions, therefore it doesn't just apply to pagan prisoners, but it applies to every pagan in the United States. Many people have argued that because we're protected by the First Amendment, that this wouldn't matter, that the Constitution, of course, rises above all. But when a court rules that pagans are not protected by the First Amendment, we're not protected by it. And that's it. And there's several implications to that. One of them being that if you're at a job and they find out that you're pagan, they can fire you for it. Many people might be wondering what it is they can do, even if they don't live in the state of California. The first thing you can do is spread the word. I encourage anybody who wants to mirror this video and put it up in your channel. Please don't alter the content, but you are allowed to mirror this